We are hosting our next rendezvous with Sandeep Aggarwal. This is something which we have been hosting for the last 6 years. Pre-COVID, I think we were a little bit more frequent in terms of hosting it at least twice a quarter. And typically, the idea behind this is to reach out to budding entrepreneurs, students who are still deciding their career and how they should consider entrepreneurism or startup or both. And also maybe people who have a nice, cushy job in a nice company, but always wonder about new age companies, startup or entrepreneurial career. So, and we have covered over the years various topics. The topic could be, how to raise capital, how to value your business, how to create a team. During the beginning of any year, we have covered topics such as how to play your inning in beginning of one full year. And today's topic is also basically how do you play your inning for 2022. I'm very happy to be talking to so many people who are SVP'd. There are so many ways you can ask your questions. One is you can post it on our Facebook page, and our team is actually, there's a TV right in front of me, and our team is actually making the question available. Second is you can post it on Twitter. And third is if you have access to Zoom, you can raise your hand and our operator will unmute you and you can write your question or ask the question. The hashtag Ask Sandeep is what everything is kind of categorized. And so with that, I'll request everyone that please ask as many questions as you possible. Please try to please try to avoid multiple questions in a single questions, but come back into the queue if your questions are not asked. Do mention your name or city or what you are doing. That will help us. But feel free to ask anyway, whatever questions. So with that, I will basically share my overview on 2022. I'll probably take anywhere between, let's say on a low side, 10 minutes up to 12, 15 minutes. We will open for questions for around 40, 45 minutes, and then there'll be a closing remarks. And again, I will encourage everyone to ask as many questions as possible. The three ways to ask it: through our Facebook page, Twitter page, or through the Zoom access. So in terms of 2022, let me begin by saying that 2021, perhaps the biggest blockbuster year in India's, I would say, new age economy. I came to India in 2011, started ShopClues, and my thinking was that India is 6 to 7 years behind China and 8 to 10 years behind USA. And very soon, everything which happened in those two countries between 1994 to 2010 will start happening in India. I had no plan to be back in India, but I saw this new age revolution at a very early stage. And there was no marketplace for ad tech, for e-commerce, for food, for edutech, for ride sharing. Basically, there was nothing called marketplace for any category. And I started India's first ever marketplace with ShopClues. Got very lucky. Within the fourth year, we became $1 billion company, which was the fourth or fifth unicorn of that time, fastest to reach unicorn, and least amount of money was spent, only 70 million to reach there. Why I'm saying all this is, that time the thinking that India is behind 6 years behind China or maybe 8 to 10 years behind USA, directionally was accurate, but not very accurate. And what we have seen in 2020 and 21 makes it very clear that actually India was maybe 14 years behind China and maybe 20 years behind USA. It's a harsh reality, but that's what has happened. I just got lucky that I started ShopClues with a market timing, thinking that it is 6 years behind China, while it was maybe that time 10 years behind China. So anyhow, but now in the last 2 years, whatever has happened in the India's new age economy, it is very clear that India has caught up with US and China. And from here on, in my view, there will only be upside for the new age economy, right? Allow me to share couple of things in terms of comparing and contrasting what is happening. For example, 10 years back, there were a handful of angel investors. There were same six VCs you will see in every deal. The venture capitalists and angel investors will be very risk averse. There were hardly any late stage companies, and there were no exits. There was no IPO. There was nothing beyond India for the Indian companies. Ecosystem was very small, and probably the whole world. So India's, they probably dismissed what is happening in India in the new age economy. Over the years, we saw success. For example, Flipkart became one of the first unicorns in India. I think probably on record is probably InMobi. ShopClues became fourth or fifth. There are so many other companies became unicorn. Then, we saw growth in angel investors. We saw growth in venture capitalist firm. We saw global private equity firms becoming much more active. We also saw the size of deal starting to look more like China and USA. 100 million plus deals started becoming much more common. We also saw in the last 1.5 year flurry of IPO coming from the new age companies. So and the government is visibly supportive of new age companies. All this has resulted into a very strong ecosystem of startup new age companies. In China, it existed for various industries in various times, but for internet, I would say literally from 1995 until 2002. In USA, this kind of revolution actually started with maybe hardware, semiconductor, etc., way back in 1956, around 1960. So it took India 1 decade, but it is fully catching up. For 2022, I would say a couple of industries, in my view, will always remain evergreen. Number one is e-commerce. As you know, India is a $1 trillion retail opportunity. And while horizontal e-commerce, you have players like Amazon and Flipkart and many other. For vertical, we have multiple players for various categories. But I think the opportunity for e-commerce remain very early stage. And if you look at the number of deals done in terms of funding or number of companies becoming unicorn, e-commerce remain one of the largest category. Second, which has become a very big reality for India, is B2B and SaaS-focused companies. From Postman to so many other companies, Freshdesk, Freshworks, there are so many companies. And I remember my days in Silicon Valley from early 2000 until 2010. Most of the Indian entrepreneur actually will find it hard to pursue B2C opportunity, but they will always be very good, naturally good at B2B, SaaS, enterprise software, enterprise offerings. That era is now, that maybe that is repeating in India, but in a much bigger way. So I can see B2B, SaaS, enterprise becoming a India will be, in my view, will remain among the top 2 or 3 countries in terms of these offering coming. The other couple of areas which I never thought will be India's play. One is content, one is community, one is communication. I always think that, internet or new age can be broadly divided into commerce, 4C, commerce, content, community, and communication. And given that content is ad supported, given that the communication and community also are ad supported or require deep tech knowledge, deep pockets, a lot of capital, finest technology talent to build these platforms, most of these content, community, and communication always came from United States. But given that, in a social media, the law of the land is becoming more important. In my view, these three categories will shape up. You can already see multiple other offerings coming in India, from Koo as equivalent of Twitter, and then there's Josh and many other offerings which are equivalent of TikTok. And so I think content, community, and communication will also be flavor of the season for 2022. I also feel that in general, you will see so many more India-centric problem-solving approach by the first-generation entrepreneur, be it edutech, agri-tech, food, and many other industries. But very, very India-centric problem being solved by the first-generation entrepreneur with the use of technology and asset-light model. So that is my view on the 2022 in terms of sector view. Just wanted to address 3-4 more topics, and I'll take maybe 2-3 minutes more. One is a funding topic. Second one is an entrepreneurial topic. And third is basically what are the macro things happening. So on a funding topic, I feel that India has never rewarded early stage companies as much as it has rewarded in the last 1.5 years. And I expect this trend to continue in 2022. And the reason is there is plenty of money available. I think how the new generation wealth gets created through the first generation entrepreneur in a new age economy is now much more well understood. And I think there are a lot of companies who have seen significant capital raise and valuation ramp up in the early stage. So, I think the FOMO has been very, very high, and it's really a good news for the entrepreneurs. I also feel that India now has maybe 250,000 angel investors. I think when I started Shop Clues 11 years back, it was probably less than 10. So it has gone up a lot. Almost every VC you can think or name operate in India, and there's a lot of plenty of capital. Globally, 25 trillion of new capital has been printed after COVID by various countries as a part of monetary stimulus, and a lot of that is making it to India's ecosystem. So it's a great time to, basically think about funding for your startup. In terms of entrepreneurship, I think right now, I would say particularly there is more favorable environment. But honestly, for entrepreneurship, I have always maintained one statement that the best time to start your entrepreneurial journey is when you don't need to ask, when do I start? But right now, particularly if you look at from government support to policies to the capital availability to the angel investors to how quickly you can go from idea to actual commercialization, and plug and play availability of technologies, the cost of doing business has come down. All those, so the entrepreneur, it's a golden era for entrepreneurship. That's what I will say. And finally, in terms of macro economy, I don't think for early to mid-stage companies, it is that of a concern versus a late-stage company. But, Omicron, right? And is there new Delta in future, etc.? Second is the inflation, because way too much of money supply has increased. Third is, will government start increasing globally? Will government start increasing interest rate, right? We have also seen last 6 weeks, major technology sell-off on a public side, especially now either, two screens, either technology stocks or small and mid cap, right? But in overall, my view is, especially when it comes to India, macroeconomy wise, whatever data I see, and it is equally available to everyone, I think looks like India may be among the fastest growing large global economies. So that's so in all, I would really encourage each one of you to consider your career in startup type of environment. And startup is becoming more of a lingo, not for early stage company, but also the company which value entrepreneurism in terms of work style. And entrepreneurism is lingo, not that you are your own boss, but you work, you handle any assignment, any work, call of duty in a very entrepreneurial fashion. So clearly, it's a great environment, in my view, to be, working in entrepreneurial style and in a startup type of environment. So I will really encourage each one of you either to consider working in a startup type of environment and entrepreneurial style, or even, pursue your dream with your startup, team up with people on early stage. That's a message I have. And with that, I can see a lot of questions are lining up. So I will take the first question. And again, just one more time repeating it, feel free to ask questions by posting it on our Facebook page of Droom, or Twitter, and hashtag Sandeep, ask Sandeep. Or you can ask if you have access to the Zoom, which was distributed by our team, and you can post it through. Each question is posted here, and we'll encourage you to ask as many questions. And please mention at the minimum your name and the city. So with that, I'll move to the first question. The first question comes from Parth Sharma from Gurgaon. Question is, at times there are ideas which appear to be most profiting, yet I'm not sure if I should go ahead and execute those ideas. What is the best way to evaluate the pros and cons of any idea? Parth, thank you for this question. I think every entrepreneur, does not matter that person may be the richest person on earth or haven't even started, we all go through this question, right? So typically, if you want to use a rational side of your mind or brain, I would say the ideas which are typically large addressable opportunity, right? Markets are fragmented. Your idea tells you that you have a unique opportunity to disrupt this large addressable opportunity, right? And if you can answer successfully why this idea, why now, and why me, I think these are the some of the hallmarks of. And in every time, if you feel more encouraged, you should that's a good idea, right? Typically, we should avoid, again, in a rational mind, I'm saying we should avoid an inflated assumption about the market size. That is where most of the entrepreneurs actually go wrong, in terms of betting in the market, doing everything right by the books, but later on realize actually market was not as big as they thought, or the market timing was not as appropriate as they assumed. But in general, I would say entrepreneurship is a real test of one's conviction. And if you think you need a lot of endorsement from your friends, family, siblings, peer group to endorse your idea, then trust me, the world will lack innovation and disruption, because 50 to 60% of the ideas were where, in fact, everyone surrounding the founder or entrepreneur actually discouraged them. That, are you crazy? What are you thinking? This will never work. What? These are the reactions for some of the ideas which eventually, and the definition of disruption is, before it happens, everyone dismissed that it is not even theoretically possible. So anyhow, so guys, that's what, for our question number one. Parth, I hope you got some context. Second comes from Yash Bhatt from Ahmedabad. Question is, which are the most exciting tech innovations for you that will have a significant impact on the coming years? Yash, it is actually, while it takes, a decade or so for a new style of technology to get adopted in a mass market, but, those buzzwords remain household names. So I would say, even, for coming years, the technologies which will play a major role. And I just want to stay on your question about technology, not of verticals. So on a technology side, obviously, AI and machine learning is one of the big themes for the last 6-7 years. I see this to continue to evolve and really change how we do business, how we perform various tasks, and how different businesses are created around data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Second is, crypto and blockchain. Obviously, some people tout it as the biggest invention of the century. It's absolutely very deep, very profound. It's the Bitcoins see its own share of volatility. Some countries are not very clear with policies, but this is absolutely here to stay, in my view, and will evolve and will have various applications for the various verticals. Third, I would say, is augmented reality, virtual reality, metaverse, whatever you want to call it. But I think, given the fact that Facebook probably reached the $1 trillion mark fastest in human history, and the company which has made a very deep impact globally has officially changed its name, assigning tough commitment to meta verse. It's absolutely a newer set of technologies which we will see more applications coming in e-commerce, to communication, to gaming, and so on. Beyond that, as I mentioned, just a new age economy using maybe internet, mobility, and cloud will continue to create sizable wealth, sizable new business models, and opportunity for disruption. I hope you got some context around the question. Next question comes from Laksh Tripathi from Lucknow. How to distinguish between risk and opportunity? Laksh, your question is very small, but the answer could be very big. But I would say that, generally, as they say, risk and reward. Yeah, right. I mean, you cannot have higher reward, lower risk. You cannot have lower risk and higher reward. And so these are always related. So I would call it more of a risk and reward rather than opportunity and risk. Look, let me say this way: if you come across a very large opportunity and you find no risk, I think you have not peeled down the onion enough. And historically, for hundreds of years, risk and rewards are always have a high correlation. So I don't think you can have an opportunity which can be theoretically very, very rewarding and has absolutely no risk. I think, sorry to say this way harshly, but you will be very ill-informed if you find basically an opportunity where you think you can create $1 billion company or a $10 billion company, and you find no risk. In fact, as you become successful, I think unproportionately higher time goes in risk mitigation. Next question comes from Prashant Pahuja from Faridabad. Question is, how important is it for startup to flexible in its functioning to adopt new and emerging technology and ideas? So Prashant, thank you for asking questions. If you look at the startups, typically they don't have deep pockets. Typically they don't have well-established processes. Typically they don't have a very recognizable names. Typically they don't have large teams. Typically they don't have a huge set of empirical evidences in terms of what works, what does not work, right? But what do they have in their favor? What do they have in their favor is, in fact, your question is that they can be very nimble and agile in terms of embracing new things, right? And new things can be, changing your business model very rapidly, changing your org structure very rapidly, responding based real time on the market forces and competition, and adopting new technologies, right? In a startup company, the startup companies win because they can take any decision in 3 minutes, and everyone can be, obviously, just a pun intended, but COVID does not allow, but every can be just 3 feet away. In a large companies, a decision may take up to 3 months, and 300 people might have to meet 7 times in different geographical locations to reach to a decision. And, so what makes startups ultimately come every month, every day, and become successful is speed to market, fast decision making, no bureaucracy, no retipism, right? So absolutely. And one of them is adopting new technologies, right? You'll be surprised that some of the Fortune 500 companies sometimes sitting on a decision of changing legacy technologies or adopting new technologies might take actually 2 to 3 decades, right? In startup, it might take 3 days, right? And decision might be taken in 3 minutes. So absolutely, that's a very, very important. Next comes from Soumya Rathore from Mumbai. The question is, for the new age startups, when do you think it is the right time to go for listing? Soumya, I would say this way, that, if you're solving a business for a long-term horizon, right, you have taken a long-term approach, You bootstrapped in the beginning, you raised capital, you are emerging as one of the top player. If you're a category leader, you think you have a strong enough internal check and balances. Obviously, just at a tactical level, you meet all the minimum requirement to go listing. You have opinion and desire whether you want to be listed in India or globally or dual listings, right? And there's your industry is thematic. There's an investor appetite, and so on. So there are so many factors, and I would say, while there's no hard and fast rule, but it takes minimum, I would say, minimum 3 to 5 years for a company to really solidify its internal check and balances, its processes, predictable growth trajectory for future, and all the bells and whistles, which are the minimum standard required to go public. And keep in mind, the going public is not a end of something. It is actually beginning of a slightly new era, which in fact may require higher transparency, higher accountability, and certain level of checks and balances and internal discipline. So that's what I would say. And you can see how globally or India-born company, at what stage they have gone public, right? Typically 5 to 7 rounds of capital, typically minimum 4 or 5 years of build out, typically category leadership, and typically a thematic place, and arguably a stable to strong markets. Next question is Pranali Bhatt from Gujarat. Question is, what is the best way to reach out to the investors? So Pranali, actually, if you do Google search, there are India now, we are very fortunate to have many high quality online publications which make public knowledge in terms of who is coming as a new entrepreneur, who is getting funded, what is their valuation, from who's funding the company. So Your Story or Inc. 42, VC Circle, Money Control, Economic Times, there are many of them. And right, so and if you do Google search their latest funding rounds in India, you can also see, while India may have tens of thousand angel investors, 250 to 500 of them are more prolific. I'm not necessarily call myself prolific, but I'm also quite active and have done north of 27 total investments. You can also see early stage venture capital firms. So you need an idea, you need a team, your own background, investor pitch, clarity around your vision, who you are, why you are doing this, why now, how do you compete, how are you different, how will you make money, how do you scale business, all that is required. But as I mentioned towards my opening remark, there's plenty of money available. There's plenty of money available. Even in the tightest era, if you look at closely, for a good idea, there's absolutely more capital available than the number of good ideas or high quality entrepreneurs. And I wish you good luck. I hope you pursue your dream and find your investors for your idea. Next question comes from Rakesh Pratap from Rajasthan. The question is, what is the sustainability of the value creation for the future investors? Value creation always happens if you basically go for large addressable opportunities. If you go for businesses which are technology driven, which are asset light, which can outgrow GDP growth of that country or local economy by 3 to 5x for extended period of time. The companies which have a strong competitive moats, the companies which mushroom and become stronger with the network effects, the company where the founders and the management team are frugal, the companies which use data for measurement and decision making, right? And there are always, every time there are thematic plays. So, if something which is just based on fad, pardon me, but, India has obviously fundamentally has done remarkably well, let's say in edutech, right? And food tech. But, every third idea nowadays is around these two industries, right? And is that sustainable? Can that create value? How are you differentiated? What is your unit economics? Do you even know what are the top challenges for the companies who started 8 years back, have become category leader, but still have to prove multiple more things? So please always be driven by the fundamental research and fundamental strength, inherent strength of the business versus fad, and take a long-term approach, and you will create value. Next question comes from Fires, and this question he has posted through Twitter. And the question is, many young people are looking to invest and start a business or startup. What suggestion would you give to them? Fires, thank you for this beautiful question. Absolutely, I can see I have been investing. My first angel investment was way back in 2008 while I was in Silicon Valley. And in the last 5-6 years, when I started becoming investing in India, I have done maybe close to 30 investments so far. And I'm seeing some of the deals in the latest deal when I'm investing, I see so many new names. So whatever you are saying, whether starting the company or investing, is absolutely becoming a reality. Absolutely, I would say, remember, fortune follows the brave, right? And higher risk will result into higher reward. And I would suggest, please invest in the companies where you can understand their business model. You have some kind of reason to believe the founders and the management team. You like the space. You have a viewpoint. Also, maybe if you are investing in an individual capacity, if you can make a difference in that business because of your subject matter expertise or your Rolodex or your network, that will be actually cherry on the cake, right? And in terms of starting your own business, again, I would say, something which you are very passionate about, large opportunity, you can satisfactorily answer why this idea, why now, and why me, then go for it. Next question comes from Trisha Kapoor in New Delhi. And question is, how do you define success? Now, Trisha, this is a very philosophical question too. So I would say, anything you are passionate about, it could be maybe drawing the best painting. It could be music. It could be something else. Anything you are passionate about, and your mind, body, and soul is telling you that you are making progress, right? There are absolutely some tangible factors of success. For example, in an exam, getting a score better than your expectation, your peer group, or topping, or in the top 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever way you're defining. Success could be how you are outperforming versus your peer group. Success could be how your parents, siblings, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, social group, friends perceive it. Success could be something which is materialistic in terms of your net worth and the money and the promotion. Success could be in terms of power and fame, right? But really, my definition of success would be whatever you are passionate about, and your own mind, body, and soul is telling you that you are making a progress, and you feel happy about it. In my view, that is a success. That is truly the success, because that success should give you incremental happiness. If it is not, then it is probably driven by some external forces which really do not make impact at your soul level. Next question comes from Chetan, and is asking this question via Twitter. And guys, one more thing, my team is showing me that we have 20 minutes left. So please try to post your question. We'll try to take as many questions as the time allows, and really appreciate you asking all these exciting questions. Again, you can post a question through Zoom call if you have access or link. Second is you can post it on Twitter. Third is you can post it on the Doom's page on Facebook. So next question comes from Chetan. This is a great chance. I want to ask you about how to make any business functions in accordance with your liabilities. Chetan, it takes several years to create a world-class company, and at different stage of business, you heavily rely on various type of organizations. So whichever department or function you heavily rely and touch as a founder or initial management team or team of founders, they automatically start having higher sense of accountability, right? Higher sense of reporting mechanism, and nobody can hide behind the laptop thinking that nobody will ask what you were supposed to deliver. But as the company grows, you need to really start implementing system and processes and empirical evidences from the large companies. When Thomas Edison invented bulb, that time probably GE did not have, what it is known for today in terms of very strong internal processes, systems, clarity of KRA, OKR, KPIs, and measurement. But to put it simply, I would say, always remember that if you cannot measure, you cannot control. So at the minimum, please have measurement mechanism, right? And so that also means the KRA and KPIs, results, and goals and targets and results. These are at the minimum. If you define them, even with the broader strokes, you will be able, while growth, hyper growth may not give you an opportunity to do everything by the books, which 30-year-old, 50-year-old company can do. But if you have these things at place and a measurement, you will be able to do a good job of assigning liabilities to the team who is handling it. Next question comes from Shashwat Jain, and this question is posted via Zoom link. Question is, how do you verify your idea? What if it is truly worth pursuing? Shashwat, this question came in the past also twice, at least on today's call. As I mentioned, the rational side, the idea validity would be, is it a larger addressable opportunity? How's the current competitive landscape? Why me, right? Why me? Why now, right? Right, and those are the few of the things. On irrational side, I would say, if something you're passionate about and you think the regret of not doing this will be bigger than anything you give up, I mean, that's idea. In that case, do not look for endorsement, and just make sure you are ready for all ups and downs, but you follow your conviction. An idea is as strong as your conviction level. Next question comes from Abhinav Prakash from Himachal Pradesh. Question is, recently a lot of new age startups are going for IPO. Can you please share your thoughts? Abhinav, as I mentioned to you when I started Shop Clues, I thought India was behind USA by 10, 12 years and behind China maybe 6 to 8 years. But given what has happening in terms of new age companies going IPO now, what has happened in terms of amount of funding which have come to India in last 2 years, given how many companies have become unicorn, I feel India was maybe 14 years behind behind China, and maybe 18 to 20 years behind USA, right? But now it has fully caught up. So now you have new age companies which are getting funding, which are having real exits, which have a proven unit economics. They have scaled up. Some of them have disruptive a category which was up for disruption for the last several decades, and nobody disrupted them before. And there's enough appetite among investors, given how much wealth in the new age have been created in US and China with the public companies. And so I think India is not immune to any of those things, and in fact is the third largest new age ecosystem globally. And really, if China and USA are precursor to what can happen in India, this may be just a beginning of this ecosystem becoming stronger, raising more capital, getting better valuation, raising money faster, having exits or IPO are natural outcome of maturation and strengthening of the ecosystem. Next question comes from Sandeep Man from Facebook. The question is, should we be focused on specific area or interested a little in multiple domains which work best? Thank you for asking that question. In my view, if you are an investor, you can be broad. You can be shallow and broad-based. But in my view, if you are a founder and if you want to create world-class company, you want to create a category leader, if you want to create a business for long term, I'm sorry, but my view would be you got to be inch wide and mile deep. Unless you are inch wide and mile deep, in my view, you cannot bring the grip on nuances and subtleties of what does it take to become a category leader or create a world-class business. If you want to be master, if you want to be jack of all trade, master of none, then I would say maybe, and again, I'm by no means I'm underestimating investors who are probably among the smartest community you will find, and that is why they choose a career to be an investor. But if you have capacity to handle multiple things, I would say think about investing, right? But even in investing, you will find most of investors will have one single playbook, right? Which will they apply to various countries, various geographies, various verticals, various stage of businesses, right? But in my view, as an entrepreneur, you got to be inch wide, mile deep, right? Later on, yes, there are a lot of examples of conglomerate. Even internet industry or new age economy, you can see companies having multiple disparate businesses, but the beginning always happened with a very narrowly defined business, inch wide, mile deep. So that would be my answer. Just moving on quickly to the next question. Next question comes from Yashveer Malik from Ludhiana. Question is, what will you pick? Risk with growth or stability with a traditional approach? Or is it better to find a perfect balance of both? Yashveer, beautiful question. And in fact, you kind of constructed it very well. I would, look, there's no hard and fast rule. I would at least pick the first one. Growth. In my view, growth is the harshest reality of any business. Does not matter how, right? Does not matter how. Of course, you cannot be unethical. You cannot be doing anything which is breaking law, etc. But within your legal, permissible, ethical boundaries, does not matter how. But if you can do anything where you can grow faster than your peer group or industry growth or GDP growth for extended period of time, you will create shareholder wealth, you will create a lot of recognition, and you will earn a lot of wealth, right? So this is really, balanced approach is not something, yes, if you are, but again, keep in mind, this is me talking as a tech entrepreneur who has spent 2 decades plus only in new age companies, right? And I have a lot of appreciation for traditional businesses, but at least I'm a growth entrepreneur. Next question comes from Navneet Singh from Zoom. Question is 2022 a right year time to start a new business? Navneet, absolutely. My opening remark, I was making that emphasis in terms of ideas, in terms of valuation, in terms of macro, in terms of readiness of the market ecosystem, and etc. There's in general, for entrepreneurism, there's never a better time. But 2022, in my view, is a fantastic year. There's a lot of capital available early stage. The cost of doing business has come down. 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 takes much shorter window, right? So it's a great time. The only drawback is that attracting a right talent has becoming increasingly difficult. So if you are starting something on your own, make sure you have a strong senior team right from the get-go. That is the only thing. Otherwise, I think it's a fantastic year. Moving to the next question comes from Sanyam Rawat from Facebook. Whom to approach when ideas spring up in your mind while in college? First, I think approach your mind, your soul, your body, and convince yourself, is this something you want to do? Why? And why now? And if you feel encouraged, you can't give up those thoughts, then I would say speak to some of your friends who will never judge you. And they are always there, rain or shine, they are always there to support you. Speak with them, right? And take notes. Make scribble notes, create a presentation, prototype in your mind, speak in mirror. And if you think this is resonating very well with you, beyond that, you can speak to so many people, but I think you have striked a good idea, something you are passionate about and you don't want to give up. After that, I would say you obviously, in order to build business, you might have to create teams, so speak to potential team members. You might have to bring money, so speak to the potential investors, and so on. But yes, I mean, that's how the, abstract thinking coming in your conscious from a traveling all the way from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind, ultimately can become a world class idea. Guys, my team has just shown that there are 5 minutes left. We'll try to take as many questions as possible. So next question comes from Rahul Upadhyay from Kanpur. Question is, what keeps you motivated and hungry for growth? Rahul, I think, what keeps me motivated and hungry for growth is whatever I have done in my life, I have typically done it when I'm very passionate about. I was a Wall Street analyst until 2000, mid of 2011 in Silicon Valley, where I lived for almost 15 years of my life. And I saw this early stage new age opportunity in India way back in 2010. And by 2011, I moved back to India. And really, I would say, converting your abstract thinking into business offerings. And I'm essentially a product guy. So thinking about new product and functionality, which can create hyper growth, which can help companies to grow, how you can solve problem with the use of technology, data science, rather than just throwing money at the problem. All that, I don't know, at least for me, I get a kick bigger than any other thing has given me since I took birth. So it's really, and if I put that in a simple word, I would say it's really the passion of creating something and growing something gives me tons of happiness, and I can't see kind of my life beyond that, and absolutely find myself lucky and blessed to be kind of creating a business which can grow faster than the peer group and economy. Next question comes from Jayesh Pawar from Zoom. The question is twofold. What should we bank on? An idea which has future potential, but not my expertise right now, or an idea which I can take forward easily? Jayesh, this is a very, very nice question. I would any day take two, right? In my view, if you have expertise, if you think I'm uniquely qualified, if you are passionate about something, if you have a viewpoint, you may not realize that time when you're doing it, but later on you realize that you already had, many things in your favor, right? Our idea is, let's say it's a large addressable opportunity, for sure, very viable, very thematic, but you don't have any viewpoint. You will not be able to bring your heart, blood, and sweat into it. So idea, if you can strike an idea where you are uniquely qualified, you are passionate, but it's also a large opportunity, then you have hit the home run. That's how I will say it. But I will never choose the one because on paper, by the books, it looks great idea, but you have no viewpoint, you have no reference point, you are not passionate about. Next question comes from Saloni Makhija from Surat. The question is, you founded Room in 2014. What was your reason to pick niche market and not cater to across genre services with an e-commerce model? Saloni, thank you for asking these questions. My first business was Shop Clues, which I started in October 2010 in my home in California, moved to India in August 2011, started it as a first ever horizontal e-commerce company for India. We did very well. We were the first marketplace, asset light model, first managed marketplace where we were not only marketplace like eBay, but also provided a lot of services such as fulfillment, payment, common return policies, catalog services, etc. So that was my first business. I had my own life's unique circumstances. And after I had to deal with them, my life created a situation where I had to think about the next big idea. And I ended up doing Droom. Why I ended up doing Droom is because it was a large addressable opportunity. India is among the 5 largest automobile market in the world. Second, automobiles are 140-year-old, but buying and selling remains very antiquated, old style. So I saw an opportunity for disruption. Third, I could use my previous training of technology, e-commerce, asset light, and online businesses to bring that disruption. And that is how I created Droom. and I'm very, very happy how the last 7 years have gone by. In terms of next question, it is Akshit Bhan from Jammu. Question is, congratulations on Droom turning a unicorn last year. What is the next for Droom? We begin this year. Akshit, thank you for your wishes. Yes, we have been very, very excited. We actually take a lot of pride running a fundamentally strong business, something which is innovative and disruptive, has a compelling unit economics, and we have a culture of never throwing money at the problem. So one thing, on the expense of not sounding humble, but I'm very proud, is the 2 unicorns I founded. We have delivered the highest return on invested capital, and ShopClues had spent only 70 million by the time we reached unicorn, and Droom also spent, lowest money probably for any unicorn in India to reach at a unicorn level. So our unicorn mark was so much more important because it was not just because someone gave us 200, 300 million and called us unicorn. That is one part. Second is, you are asking about what is for future. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about Droom's future when especially task specifically, given that we are an IPO bound company. And so I will, pardon me, but will stay away from any futuristic thing for Droom. But we are very, very excited where we are in Droom and last 7 years of our ramp up. Guys, this is the last question. And I'm sorry if we were unable to take your question. If you want to ask more question, you can send an email to Sandeep at sandeepaggarwal.com. Sandeep, Sandeep, and Aggarwal is spelled as Aggarwal. So Sandeep at sandeepaggarwal.com. Please send your questions and I'll try to reply those questions. Also, if you are looking for funding and you want to see me as a potential angel investor, guide, or mentor, please do send your pitch deck. I do receive so many of these. I may not be able to respond to everyone, but I do check, and my team do check them regularly. With that, I'll take a last question. Last question comes from Pratik Prakash from Noida. Question is, besides the automobile sector, which other sector do you find most fascinating and will always be profitable, one irrespective of market conditions? Pratik, I will absolutely give you some specific things which I mentioned towards the beginning of this year, my opening remarks. But I would say, look, but your second part of your question about profitability independent of market condition, in my view, independent of the idea or the vertical, a business eventually in the long run has to be profitable, right? The business is essentially an asset, and the definition of an asset is ability to generate future cash flows, right? You may have various reasons why it is not profitable. You may be scaling up. You may be in investment mode. This may be in an early stage. You may not have broad efficiency in your various line items, or marketing is too high, or competition is more severe, right? All those are fine. But ultimately, in my view, every business eventually should have a situation where marginal revenue is so much better than marginal cost, even if you're not profitable. And if you're profitable, then nothing like it. But keep in mind, in new age companies, they will always reward growth and scale followed by profitability, right? Yes, if you have profitability and scale and growth, then nothing like it. But, prove scale and growth, but not at a incrementally deteriorating economics, but at an incrementally better economics. Even if you're not profitable, you are creating value, right? That would be my answer. In terms of, things which are viable, in my view, as I mentioned, if you're doing something where technology is a center, if you're doing something where it is a large addressable opportunity, if you're doing something which is asset light, people light, working capital light, capital expenditure light, all those things, in my view, create value. If you do something where you have a strong competitive moat, you are differentiating, and you have a good grip on the improving unit economics, ultimately you will create a good good business. So guys, with that, I think we will end the questions. Thank you for joining Rendezvous with Sandeep Aggarwal. This is something, as I mentioned in the beginning, we have been doing it for almost 6.5 years. We will continue to do that. you can email me sandeep@sandeepaggarwal.com or sandeepvision@gmail.com. And happy to take any questions, happy to guide you. And pardon me if I'm unable to reach out to you. I try to reach out to as many people as possible, but I do get a lot of inbound emails, inquiries, requests for guidance, and pitch decks. And really encourage you to pursue your entrepreneurial journey. As I mentioned, 2022, in my view, is a fantastic year. It's a great time to start a company. It is a great time to capitalize and raise money and build world-class businesses. I wish all of you good luck. And if you happen to be this side of the world, do visit in Room. You can contact our HR. You contact if you have any of the person you know at Room. We are happy to host you, give you a campus tour. If you are students looking for a project, we do collaborate with a lot of colleges and campuses very frequently. If you're looking for summer internship or full-time job, do send email at career@room.in. And if you need any help, guidance from me, as I mentioned, sandeep@sandeepaggarwal.com or sandeepvision@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter. I really enjoy interacting with budding entrepreneurs who are doing something very interesting, something very disruptive, and I can add any value, and happy to participate in anyone's career discussion. Thank you so much for joining, and please stay safe.